Okay, let's make some bolognese. Now, it's quite difficult to get bolognese made well in an hour. It's not an awful lot of time, and you might need to keep cooking yours at home for a little bit longer to get all of the water off. To try and help us fit it in the time, I need you to dice your vegetables at home. So the carrot, you're going to dice nice and finely to about this size, which is about 5mm by 5mm. See if I can get it to focus a little better. The onion, it can be any colour onion you like, but the onion you're going to dice the same. Okay, nice and small. Now the recipe doesn't have celery in it. The reason for that is you can buy one carrot, you can buy one onion, but you cannot buy one stick of celery. You have to buy a whole hand of celery, which is way more than you're going to need. But if you have some celery at home and you want to add it, then by all means bring a stick of celery. I'm going to add some to mine because traditionally you'd have all three, but yeah, nice and small. The garlic, you're going to need to either dice very, very, very small or slice very, very small. So I've sliced mine. There we go, like that. Really nice and small so that it will just sort of melt in. Often students turn up with chunks of garlic like this. And that is way too big. Way too chunky. Kat, your dinner is not for another 2 hours. You'll have to go out if you don't shush. So all of this you're going to prepare at home. Okay, and then you can just bring it in. Please do not mix the garlic with the other vegetables. We're going to cook these first and add the garlic later. The garlic has got a lot more sugar in than these, and if we add it all at the same time, students more often than not end up burning their garlic, and then it has this bitter taste that we don't want. So you can use a saucepan or you can use a frying pan. I'm using this pan because it's nice and pale and you can see. So we're going to add a little bit of olive oil, some nice flavour. I'm going to put the heat onto low. And then I'm going to add my carrot, onion and celery. Make sure that's all nicely coated in the oil. And then that bit of onion's too big, take that one out. Then I'm going to let that just sweat down. So it's on a very low heat. I'm going to put the lid on and I want to cook this very, very gently, so that all the sugars become released, but we don't want any colour on it. We don't want it to go like brown at all. We just want it to go soft and sort of translucent looking. So I'm going to put the lid on and I'm going to leave it alone. In school, at this point, we'd start prepping your other ingredients. So you'd probably, if you hadn't sliced your garlic, you'd be doing that now. If we'd be opening up all of our tins, which is something that I want to talk to you about. This is something that students really struggle with, opening a ring pull tin. So to open the ring pull tin, you've got to put your nail or something underneath the ring pull, and then you are going to lift it until it is parallel with the edge of the tin, of the can. Then you not further over, because when you go further over that way, it's going to snap off, and then it's really difficult to get it open. You put your finger through, facing the back of the tin, and you put your thumb here where the edge of the inner ring is, okay? And then you just pull your finger, I can't do it holding it up in midair, pull your finger towards your thumb and it opens like that. Now this is not chopped tomatoes. I've asked you to bring chopped tomatoes. These are plum tomatoes. So I'm just going to use a pair of scissors and chop them up. Can you hear that sizzling? That tells me this is on ever so slightly too high. So I'm going to turn it down. There we go. My hob doesn't like going very low. Well, not this middle one anyway, but it's the best one for me to show you on. So this has been cooking now for about 7 minutes. It's sort of semi-frying, semi-steaming with the lid on. It keeps all of the moisture in, and that's what you want to do. As you can see, it's all looking a lot sort of more muted. The colour's looking a lot more muted. It's looking a lot more translucent. And it's all a lot softer. That's what we're aiming for. If we were doing this at home, we'd probably cook it for about 10 minutes or so on a low heat. In school, it really depends on how quick you guys get yourselves sorted. Okay, so if you get your aprons on and your hands washed and everything done quick, then you'll have more time to let this go for longer. To this now, we are going to add the meat. Okay, so this is 250 grams, 250 grams, it's absolutely perfect. I know most of the time you'll use 500 at home, but it does just take us a little bit too long to try and cook in the 1 hour. Okay. If you want to bring in a meat alternative, you can. If you want to bring in half pork, half beef, you absolutely can. Absolutely. So we are going to turn this, break it up and turn it over so that it all goes nice and brown. Mostly brown, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. Might turn the heat up a little bit now, just to move this along a little bit because it doesn't have to be on the very, very lowest anymore. So we're not going to overdo it. That is absolutely wonderful. That'll do. We're going to add the tomato puree. Now, I know you guys are used to me going, you must weigh everything out, you must weigh everything out. And with baking, you absolutely do. It's an exact science. But with cooking, you don't. This will be absolutely fine. So 1, 2-ish tablespoons. Measure with your heart. Do you like it tomatoey? Does it look right? Yeah, it'll be fine. Mix that one in. We're going to let that. Oh, and add the garlic at this point. The recipe says 2 cloves of garlic. I've gone for 2.5 because I like a lot of garlic. I'm going to give that a good mix in and let it just cook for a minute. Just take the edge off the tomato puree and the garlic. Right, that'll do. So to this, I'm going to add my tin of tomatoes. So I used plum tomatoes because that's all I had in the cupboard. Just chop them off a bit. It's all good. And then you're going to take your tin and you're going to fill it sort of quarter of the way full with water and give it a good swill round to get all of that tomato that's, see inside, it's all full of tomato still. You want all of that to be in your pan. So we're going to go get some water in. Good old swill, add that in. I'm going to take my stock cube and get it open. There we go. Now I've got a beef stock pot, so you can bring in a stock cube and crumble it in. I would go for beef, but you know, you can go chicken if you really want to. Wouldn't go fish, obvious reasons. And then the soy sauce. So 1, 2-ish. Fill up. The soy sauce is going to add the salt. It's not exactly traditional, but it does work really well. Okay, don't worry about the fact that the stock cube is going in whole. It will dissolve into that water that we just added. And there's no point messing up a jug when it'll do exactly the same thing in the pan. Very anti creating washing up. To this, I'm also going to add a bay leaf. This puts like a savoury, adds a savoury flavour, and we fish it out before the end. And also some herbs. It could be mixed herbs, it can be a mixture of herbs of your choice. So I don't have any mixed herbs, I'm just going to add a little bit of basil. A bit of oregano, and then I'll taste it later and adapt the seasoning as I see fit. So we added the water. In fact, I think I might need to add a little bit more water, maybe, we'll see. We added the water to allow for evaporation. We need all of this to bubble away. If I can show you a bit better. To simmer and bubble away, so all those flavours can sort of infuse and meld together, and so that the beef can cook until it's really, really tender. But if we hadn't have added the water, it would all get too dry and it'll get stuck and go horrible way, way before it's actually fully cooked. So the water's adding like a layer of protection. The water will evaporate off, but allow everything else the time to cook. So in here now, we have the onion, carrot, which are giving us sort of sweetness and added flavour. We have the beef, which is obviously the main body of the Bolognese, which is giving us flavour and structure. We've got the garlic, which is adding flavour, the tomato puree, which is an intense tomato flavour, the chopped tomatoes, which are creating moisture and flavour, soy sauce, which is providing salt, which is a flavour enhancer, bay leaf, which is giving us a savoury flavour, and then the herbs. We can use the skills that we've learnt here. If you changed the herbs, if you took out the bay leaf, and you put in chili, then you could make a chili con carne. You could use the same skills for this to make a shepherd's pie, to make a cottage pie. all sorts of different things basically made in the same way. Okay, so we're going to let this simmer now. In school, we'll try and let it simmer for 10 minutes. In that time, you'd be expected to wash everything up, clear all your worktops and everything. But we need to let this simmer away until most of the water is evaporated off, the garlic's sort of melted in, and all those flavours have infused together. There might not be time in the lesson for this to fully cook. It might still be a bit watery, and you might have to take it home and put it on for a little bit. But you're going to be reheating it when you get home anyway. We are not going to bring in any pasta into school because reheated pasta is disgusting to begin with, but also it's a potential risk for things like to reheat it. It's just unnecessary. You can all cook pasta. You've done it before in school a few times. So when you get home, cook up some fresh pasta. Doesn't have to be spaghetti, any shape you got, and have it with this. I know that 200 grams of beef doesn't seem like much, but this, I tend to mix it in with pasta rather than having it sitting on the top. This amount of food does my family of 3 for 2 nights. So it is plenty. Let this simmer away and see you in a minute. Okay, so this is about done now. I forgot to say before, please do, in school we're going to use, this is a silicone spatula, but in school we're going to use wooden spoons. Please do not leave your wooden spoons in your bolognese. Wood absorbs flavour, and we don't want the next time we come to make a custard it tasting like vanilla and garlic. So please can you make sure that you take your wooden spoon out and just put it on the side. Don't leave it in the bolognese. So you can see most of the excess liquid has evaporated off, and now what we're left with is still a sauce, but much thicker. I'm going to turn this off, and then I would put it in my tub to take home. The bay leaf can come out now, it's done its job, and that can go straight into the bin. I will taste this and see if it needs any extra salt, if it needs any extra herbs, but essentially it's done. All right guys, I hope it goes well in your lesson, and I hope you make it again at home.